Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're exploring the Garden of Wealth, cultivating your financial future. We're going to look at some core economic concepts, inflation, taxes, compound interest, and see if we can view them through a much more intuitive lens. Okay, let's dive into this.
What if building wealth was exactly like growing a garden? Think about it for a second. The modern financial system can feel like a labyrinth of invisible forces, right? But what if we step back and look at it through the lens of something incredibly natural? Planting, protecting, and eventually harvesting a garden. To build real wealth, you got to understand the soil you're planting in. You have to pay the costs of maintaining the land, protect your crops from pests and harsh weather. And, absolutely crucial here, you have to know exactly which seeds are going to multiply over time. Let's start right from the ground up.
Every garden needs soil, and in our financial garden, money is the soil. Now, the kind of weird part about currency is that, well, it's actually not real. It is purely a social construct, built on shared belief and trust. I mean, think about it. There's no physical difference in utility between a $1 bill and a random stick you find in the woods. The only reason a dollar bill can buy you a coffee and a stick cannot is because we, as a whole society, have collectively agreed that the dollar has value. It just makes trading easier and helps organize society. It's the agreed-upon dirt we use to plant our seeds.
So if money is the soil, banks are basically the nurseries. Most people kind of picture banks as giant steel vaults guarded by dragons where your money just sits collecting dust. But in reality, they are just middlemen. And this brilliantly illustrates the concept of fractional reserve banking. When you deposit $1,000, your seed money, the bank takes $900 of it and immediately lends it to someone else who wants to, say, buy a jet ski. They only keep a tiny fraction on hand. This whole system relies entirely on trust, assuming not everybody is going to show up on the exact same day to withdraw their cash. Unless, of course, it's 2008 and the system crumbles. But generally speaking, they provide a safe place to hold your soil and even pay you a little interest for the privilege.
Now, as you cultivate your plot of land, you're going to have to pay the garden maintenance fees. Imagine working hard all month. You get your $2,000 paycheck, but actually, scratch that. Only $1,456 hits your account. The rest? Poof! Taken by invisible forces. We call these taxes. And, as they say, taxes are the cost of civilization. They're the fees you pay so the government can build roads, fund schools, make sure your favorite taco truck isn't infested with rats, and fund Medicare. You get hit with income tax when you make money, sales tax when you spend it, and capital gains tax when your investments make money while you're literally sleeping. Look, it can be painful, but it's the required upkeep for the society our garden actually lives in.
Next up is your reputation as a gardener, your credit score. Calculating a credit score is based on a few things: payment history, credit utilization, credit age, credit mix, and new credit. This is basically a shadowy algorithm ranging from 300 to 850 that tracks your past to decide if you can be trusted. It determines whether you get a house, a car, or a soul-crushing 27% interest rate on a TV. Lenders look at these 5 factors, especially the massive weight of your payment history, to see if you actually pay people back. Honestly, think of your credit score like a pet dog. If you ignore it, it will poop all over your life. But if you take care of it, feed it with on-time payments, and keep an eye on your credit utilization, someday it'll be your best friend when you go to buy a house.
Navigating the pests and harsh weather of the economy. Let's move on and see how this builds into the macroeconomic threats every single gardener must inevitably face.
The absolute most persistent weed in your garden is inflation. Have you ever bought a bag of chips, opened it up to find it half empty, and realized you paid like 30% more for it than you did last year? That is inflation. It's what happens when money slowly gets less valuable over time. It's a really slow erosion. When we track the purchasing power of a $5 bill over time, dropping from high to low, you'll see your $5 bill is still technically $5. But over time, it buys fewer instant noodles and a lot less gas. This happens when too many people have cash and want to buy the exact same limited goods, or when supply chains hiccup. A little inflation, like 2%, is totally normal. But if it spikes, it quietly steals the nutrients right out of your soil.
And then there's the weather, specifically the harsh winter of a recession. The economic cycle naturally goes boom, peak, bust, and reset. A recession is formally defined as the economy decreasing for at least 2 quarters. Jobs vanish, companies cut costs, everyone kind of just hoards their money. But tracking this timeline, you quickly realize it's just part of a natural cycle. Think of the economy like a party in the boom phase. Drinks are flowing, everyone's dancing. But eventually reality hits. Someone checks their bank account, and suddenly the DJ is playing sad lo-fi beats about corporate downsizing. Recessions are super painful, for sure, but they aren't forever.
They are simply cyclical winters where the economy resets before spring eventually arrives and growth resumes.
So what does this all mean? Knowing that inflation is constantly trying to choke out your purchasing power, and recessions will inevitably bring harsh winters, what is the proactive move? How do we combat the weeds and actually grow something of lasting value? The answer is investing. This is where you literally stop trading your time for money and you start trading your money for more money.
These are the specific seeds you need to plant. You've got stocks, which are tiny company slices, bonds, which are loans with interest, funds, which are diverse collections of these, and real estate, meaning physical property. And what you're really doing here is leveraging perceived value. Imagine you pick up an average rock. Now imagine that rock is shiny and yellow. We call it gold, and it's suddenly worth vastly more. Not because it's inherently better, but because humans perceive it as more valuable. It's the exact same reason Steve Jobs could sell an iPhone for thousands of dollars, or a Gucci handbag costs 100 times more than a Target bag. When you invest in these specific seeds, you're buying into vehicles that create or hold tremendous perceived value.
But seeds don't grow without fertilizer. And in finance, interest is the ultimate fertilizer. Simple interest is basic. Here's a flat fee. Thanks for playing. Or, in our garden analogy, here is some water. Your plant grows a bit. But compound interest, that is the absolute star of the show. With compound interest, the rule is every dollar now has clones, and they also want rent. Your plant doesn't just grow, it drops its own seeds into the soil. Those seeds grow into new plants, which drop more seeds. Even though we sometimes joke about it as your money having clones that charge rent, what it really is a self-replicating financial forest. It's incredible.
Now, what's really interesting here is the 7% compound interest cheat code. If we trace the math, initial $100, growth to $200, a harvest of $400. You see that investing with a 7% annual compound return is essentially a mathematical cheat code. Your initial $100 duplicates itself into $200, which drops seeds to become $400. The growth actually accelerates the larger it gets. One day you wake up and you're old, rich, and maybe a little smug about it. This is exactly how ordinary people with completely modest paychecks retire with 7 figures. They didn't magically beat the system. They just used the cheat code of compounding to grow a massive harvest over time. But beware, because this powerful fertilizer can also be a totally toxic weed killer if you're on the wrong side of it. Interest is either your worst enemy or your best unpaid employee. When you owe 20% interest on a credit card, you are the one paying for the seeds. You miss a payment, your interest earns interest, and suddenly your $12 late-night burrito turns into a $50 regret. No way around it. In loans, interest is the slow burn that turns small mistakes into raging financial fires. You have to kill debt fast, so you can transition to feeding your investments. The choice lies entirely in who is actually collecting the interest.
So the crucial point is this: time, the sun and the rain. Without it, the engine cannot function. None of this works without time. Time is the sun and the rain of your financial garden. It's literally the most valuable asset in the world, and most of us start with a whole lot of it. Wealth isn't built in days, it's built in decades. Money that sits quietly in a compounding investment multiplies slowly at first and then wildly faster as the years roll on. Without time, the compounding engine simply cannot function. You have got to give your garden decades to do its thing.
Which brings us to our final thought. The real danger isn't losing money, it's never investing and watching inflation quietly steal your future. Yes, planting involves risk, the markets are going to go up and down, harsh winters will come for sure. But the real danger isn't losing money, it's never investing at all and watching inflation quietly steal your future. The weeds of inflation will inevitably choke out dormant seeds. So, leaving you with this thought to consider, what financial seeds are you leaving unplanted today that you'll desperately wish you had watered 10 years from now? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.